The marble floors of the Grand Hotel shone like mirrors, glowing under the golden chandelier. Every polished step of wealthy travelers echoed across the vast lobby. Men in sharp suits and women in long, graceful dresses walked with pride, laughter filling the air. The scene looked like a picture of perfection, until two figures appeared, standing out like shadows against the glittering world. An old man, skin darkened by years of labor under the sun, clutched a worn-out leather suitcase. His hat was torn at the edges, his clothes patched. Beside him stood a frail woman, wrapped in a faded scarf, her coat too thin for the morning chill. Her eyes carried the weight of years of struggle, but her posture carried quiet strength. They stood there unsure, as if the ground they stepped on was not meant for people like them. Before they could even speak, the hotel manager leaned forward from behind the desk. His slicked back hair, shining shoes, and fitted gray suit made him look like he belonged to another world. A cruel smirk spread across his face as his voice rang loud enough for all to hear. "Pay for the cheap room and leave quickly. People like you don't belong here." His mocking laugh echoed, joined by a few giggles from the staff. The woman lowered her head, clutching her bag tighter, her shoulders trembling from the sting of shame. But the old man did not bend. He lifted his chin, his eyes calm yet firm, meeting the manager's gaze without flinching. For a moment, the noise of the lobby faded, and silence hung heavy in the air. The man's name was Elias. For more than 50 years he had worked his farmland, feeding towns and cities with his crops. His hands, calloused and scarred, had turned soil, planted seeds, and carried harvests that filled tables across the region. His wife, Ruth, had stood beside him through every storm, raising children, cooking meals from little, and keeping their home warm with love, even when money was scarce. Now their farm was gone. They had sold what little they had left and come to the city for a medical appointment. They weren't seeking luxury, only a single night's rest before the visit. But to the hotel staff they were laughable, two poor souls daring to stand beneath chandeliers meant for the rich. Humiliation spread like fire through the hall. Some guests sneered, others whispered. Ruth's eyes filled with tears. Elias gently placed his hand on hers, steadying her trembling. His voice, when he spoke, was steady and calm, carrying the weight of a lifetime. "Son, I did not come here to beg. I came here to rest after giving more than 50 years of my life to feed people like you. This suitcase you mock once carried my tools, the same tools that tilled the earth so the children in this city would not go hungry." His words fell heavy, stripping the smirk from the manager's face. The chatter in the lobby stopped. Shoes paused mid-step. Ruth lifted her gaze, courage rising in her eyes. "I may wear old clothes," Elias continued, "but every wrinkle on this shirt was earned by honest work. Every scar on my hands tells a story of survival. If paying for the cheap room is the only way you see me, then remember this. Cheap does not mean worthless. My life has been richer than these walls will ever be." The hall grew still. A woman behind the desk bit her lip, her smile fading into shame. Guests shifted uneasily, regret creeping into their faces. One elderly woman sitting nearby clapped softly. Another guest followed, and soon the sound of applause spread across the room, drowning out the cruel laughter that had once cut like knives. Ruth squeezed Elias's hand, her heart swelling with pride. The same man whose back had bent over fields now stood taller than all, proving that dignity cannot be measured by wealth. The manager's face turned red, his voice shaking as he finally muttered, "Sir, I apologize. Please take the suite, no charge." But Elias shook his head. His voice, steady as stone, answered, "We did not come here for charity. We only ask for what we can pay for. Nothing more, nothing less." His refusal struck deeper than anger ever could. It left the room hushed, filled with respect rather than pity. The staff, the guests, even the manager himself stood silently as Ruth and Elias received their keys at last. With Ruth leaning on his arm, Elias walked forward, not as a man mocked, but as one who had taught a lesson none would forget. The laughter that once mocked him was gone, replaced by admiration and shame in equal measure. As the elevator doors closed behind them, A truth lingered in the marble hall. True wealth was not in gold or chandeliers, but in the strength to stand tall when others tried to make you small. And sometimes the poorest hands carry the richest hearts. Sometimes a single voice can silence an entire room.